Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Guys, today we are going to learn Azure Active Directory. So this is my fourth video of AC 900 Security Compliance and Identity Fundamental course. So in my previous video of AC 900, we have covered lot of different topics. You might have gone through the videos, and now today the major topic that we will cover is what Azure Active Directory does. And identity type that Azure types Azure AD supports. Guys, if we talk about Azure AD is cloud-based identity and access management service implemented by Microsoft. Azure AD is cloud-based identity and access management service implemented by Microsoft. Azure AD actually simplifies the way organization manage authentication and authorizations. Or you can say it simplifies the way organization manage the authorization and access by providing a simple identity system for their cloud or on-premise applications. You can use Azure AD to synchronize your on-premise Active Directory identity, or even if you want, you can use to synchronize object between different directory services, or even if you want, you can use it as a standard or a standalone service. So Azure AD actually can synchronize identity between on-premise directory service, other directory service, or even if you want, you can use Azure Active Directory as a standalone identity and access service. In simple, if we talk about, for example, we have Azure AD. Now you have different devices. You have your some business partners. You have business partners. You have Office 365, or even you say Microsoft. Microsoft 365 or Office 365. You have on-premise environment. You have on-premise Active Directory. On-prem AD. Now all these you can manage via or manage from you can manage from your Azure Active Directory. So Azure Active Directory is the one which you can use to manage all these different environments. Azure AD is used by the as IT admin. IT admins to control the access to the corporate applications resources based on the business requirement. Based on the business requirement. Now, Azure AD can be used to provision your users. Azure AD can also be configured to protect your user's identity and the credentials. Each Microsoft 365 you say Office 365, Azure, Dynamics 365 online subscriptions automatically uses Azure Active Directory tenant. Even if you are a developer, you can use Azure AD as a standard based approach for adding your single sign-on to your applications. Azure AD also provide you self-sign password reset, using which your users can reset their password. Now there are different edition of Azure AD. Azure AD editions. Azure AD actually is available in 4 editions. There are 4 editions of Azure AD. We have free, we have Office 365, apps, we have premium, P1 and P2. These are the 4 types or the editions of the Azure AD. If we talk about the free Azure AD, free, which actually allow you to administrate your users. You can create users, you can create groups, you can synchronize your on-premise AD to the on-premise AD objects to the Azure AD. You can create reports, basic reports. You can configure self-sign service password reset. And you can enable single sign-on across Azures. When we talk about the free version, remember it has a limit of 5,000 objects that can be held in Azure AD. The free edition of the Azure AD included with your subscription to Office 365, Dynamics 365, Intune and Power Platform. Now, if we talk about the Office 365, Office 365 app editions offer you all the services that you get with the Azure AD free. Now, it also offers some of the services. For example, you can use self-service password reset for your cloud users, device write back you get, which offer you two-way synchronization. Office 365 application edition of your Azure AD is part of, like, if you get E1, E3, E5, F1 and F3. So when you subscribe for this licensing, you get Azure AD Office 365. Now, if we talk about P1 and P2, P1 offers you all the benefits that Office 365 app offers. It offers all the services that Office 365 app Azure AD offers, including some advanced administrations. For example, dynamic group. You get self-service group management, Microsoft Identity Manager, MIM, you get cloud write back capabilities. Write back capabilities. Now, if we talk about the Premium 2, P2, it offers all the services which are included or offered by Premium 1, including some of the advanced services like identity protection, which help you to protect the risk-based conditional access to your applications and the critical company data. It offers you PIM, privileged identity management, that help you to discover the discover and restrict and monitor your administrators access to the resources, and it provide you just in time administration, just in time administration. Now if we talk about the Azure AD identity type, identity types. We have users. User is an identity which actually represent something which is managed by Azure AD. Your employees, guests, they are represented as user in Azure directory. And if there are some user with the same access right or the privilege, you can create a group and add those users to the same group and assign the same permissions. You can assign the permissions at the group level, which will be applied to each and every members of the group. We have interactive guide. Interactive guide. So, interactive guide you can follow the steps to add the users to your Azure Active Directory. So we will give that, but this is not object, guys. Remember, this is not identity type. I will share the link. You can go and you can see how to create the, or even in the lab I will show you how we actually create the identities in the users, new users in the Active Directory, Azure Active Directory portal or Microsoft 365 portal. We will see those things in the lab part. We have service principle. Service principle is security identity. Security identity used by the applications or the services to access the specific Azure resources. You can think like identity for an, you can think in the way like it's an identity for an AI application. So for an applications to delegate its identity and access functions to Azure AD. So first of all, we have to register the application in the Azure AD. Service principal is created in each tenant where your application is used and reference. So you get a global unique app objects. And this service principle actually help you decide who can access your application and what resources the applications can access. We have managed identity. Managed identity. This identity are automatically managed by my Azure AD. So this is a identity which are automatically managed by Azure. These identities are actually used to manage your credential for the authentications or authenticate in a cloud-based or cloud applications. We have system assigned. Like there are two types of managed identity. Two types of managed identity. System assigned and user assigned. Now if we talk about system assigned, so some Azure services allow you to manage or enable you to manage identity directly on the service. When you enable system assigned managed identity, an identity will be created in the Azure AD which will be tied to the life cycle of the service instance. And if you delete the resource, Azure will automatically delete the identity for you. By this design, only that Azure resource can use this system assigned identity to request token from your Azure AD. Now, if we talk about the user assigned, so you need to create managed identity as a standard Azure resource. When we talk about user assigned managed identity, so user assigned managed identity is assigned to one or more instances of the Azure services. You can create a user assigned managed identity and then you can assign it to one or more instances of the Azure services. And in case user assigned managed identity, the identity is managed separately from the resources that it uses. Now We have another type of identity which is device. So we have user, service principal, we have managed identity, we have devices. Device is a piece of hardware. It can be your mobile device, it can be laptop, it can be server, it can be a printer, it can be your desktop. Device identity can be set up in different way. There are different way which you can use to set up your device identity. And it determines the properties such as like who owns the device. You can manage your device in Azure AD, which allow your organizations to protect its assets. There are tools such as like Microsoft Intune, which can be used as a standard for security and compliances. There are multiple options which you can use to register your device into Azure AD. We have Azure AD registration or register. Azure AD registered device. Like if you have Windows 10, iOS, Android, Mac, these devices, you can register these devices to Azure AD as your own device rather than a device owned by organization. You use your personal account to sign in to the Azure and your device get registered. We can also use Azure AD join. This is your device exists only in cloud. If you decide to keep your device in Azure or cloud only, you will go with this option. This option is generally selected by the organization. If the organization owns the device, they will go with this option as your AD joined device. And the users, they use the organization's account or the corporate email to sign in to the device. You can also use as a you can use your synced account details to sign into the device. It can be your school account also. And for example, you can configure or you can join all your Windows devices, Windows 10 devices, but not Home Edition. You cannot use Home Edition to join your Azure AD. If you have professional, enterprise, you can use those additions to join your device to the Azure AD. And the third type we have is the hybrid. Hybrid Azure AD joint device. If you have Windows 7, 8.1, 10, 11, or if you have Windows servers, if you have your on-premise, these devices can be managed from Azure environment as well. These hybrid devices can exist in the cloud and on-premise. We have some external identities. We have external identities also. So in Azure AD we have some capabilities or set of capabilities that organizations can use to allow the access to the external users. For example, you can allow your customers, your partners as a guest users, and they can use bring your own identities concept. There are two types of Azure external identities. One is B2B. B2B collaboration allow you to share your applications resources with external users. And we have B2C. It is an identity management solution from your customer, or you can say consumer or customers facing your applications. Now, if we talk about B2B, this is a collaboration. Collaboration allow you to share your organization's applications and the services with your guest users from other organizations. It maintain control over your own data. Actually, B2B uses invitation and redemption process. Invitation and redemption process allow external user to access your resources with the credentials. And when we talk about B2B collaboration, external users are managed in the same directory as your employee, but they are actually managed, or they are generally annotated as guest users. Users outside your organizations, users from other organizations, they are actually annotated as guest users. Guest users can manage, or you can manage your guest users the same way as you manage your employee. You can add them to the group. Now, if you talk about the B2C, B2C is customer identity access management. It is customer identity access management. It is CIAM, customer identity access management. Solution. It actually allows your external user to sign in with their preferred social, enterprise or local account. They can use this account to sign in or single sign on to your applications. And this can allow million of users, million, or you can say billion of users authentication per day, million of users and billions of authentications per day. It can take care of the scaling, safety of your authentication platform. It can monitor, it can automatically handle your threats. If there is any kind of threat, it can automatically manage those. It can handle denial of service, password spray, or any brute force password attacks. But we need to manage a separate directory for this purpose. So if we talk about Azure AD B2C, external users are managed in the Azure AD B2C directory, which is separated from your organization's employee or the partners directory. Azure AD B2C is authentication solutions that you can use or your customers to manage your identities. Now, if we talk about hybrid identity, hybrid identity means you manage your on-premise and cloud based users. So organization may use this model or you can go with cloud only model. In hybrid identity model, organization use both on-premise and the cloud identity, both. So you use Windows Active Directory and you use Azure Active Directory. You synchronize the users from on-premise to Azure. So with the hybrid model, users can access resources from the on-premise as well as cloud-based resources. If you make any changes to your user accounts, those will be automatically synced to the or make any changes to the users or group, those will be automatically synced to the clouds. So we use Azure AD Connect tool to synchronize on-premise Azure managed identity with the Azure AD. So we have to configure the Azure AD Connect to set up the hybrid infrastructure. You can say like you have Office 365 or you have your any applications, your any app, this is your Azure AD. So you manage them. You manage them. Now you have on-prem Active Directory, you have your servers, so you have on-prem, okay, this is your AD, on-premise AD, and we use Azure AD Connect tool. So we need to install this on our on-premise environment. You may have your other devices. You may have your other devices. You have users, Now they may use single sign-on. So they sign up. They sign up. They use sign up. Now, when you use hybrid model, authentication can either be done by Azure AD, which is known as managed authentication, or Azure AD can redirect your request to any other identity provider, which is known as federated authentication. So we have managed authentication, Azure AD authenticate. So it is done by Azure AD. And Azure AD can redirect your request to another identity provider. So it is called federated authentication. Federated authentication is done by other for example your on-prem AD. For example, on-prem AD. So we have there are actually three authentication method. We have three authentication methods which can be used. First, hash or password hash. password has synchronization. This is simple way to enable authentication for your on-premise directory object in Azure AD. So you have your users, and your users, on-premise users, will be authenticated by Azure AD. The on-premise users can use same username and password to log in on the cloud to access the resources, and they can use the same username password to access the on-premise resources. And this is actually part of this one, managed authentication. We have pass through authentication, which is called PTA in short. It actually provides you simple password validations for your Azure AD authentications or Azure AD authentication services by using your software agent, which actually run on one or more on-premise servers. Actually, the servers, on-premise servers, they validate users directly with your on-premise Active Directory. Your on-premise Active Directory is actually validate your passwords. It actually ensures that the password validations is not done at the cloud level, rather it is done at the on-premise level. Now, it actually validate or the server on which the software agent runs on your, it can be one server or it can be more than one server. It validate user directly with your on-premise Active Directory. It actually ensures that the password validation is not happen in the cloud. But this is also known as managed authentication. And the third one is that we have is the federated authentication. Which is done by separate trusted authentication system. It is actually done by on-premise Active Directory federation service. It actually validate user's password. Thank you guys for watching my video. I hope this video will definitely enhance your knowledge level. And guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe my channel. Stay tuned, stay updated with the latest technology and the latest topic. See you in my next video. Thank you guys. Have a nice